Hey, before I kick off the podcast, I just want to shout out Next Door Clothing. Next Door, a clothing brand based out of Bondi in Sydney. They're making really nice jeans and shirts and hats. So go and check out their full range at nextdoorsydney.com. They're also artists, so you can go and check out a range of art. They put on rad parties, and I love what they're doing. So nextdoorsydney.com for the full range. Oh, man. One thing I'm losing my mind about at the moment is how did it go from like being like 22 degrees this morning to like 7 degrees this afternoon?
I think there's only one place in the world that could happen.
Where?
Right here. Yeah, it's nuts.
I'm starting to realise like we have such variable weather conditions.
Man, I wore like shorts, a tee and thongs down to Nowra today for work.
Why?
It was a fucking bad decision.
Like
Mistakes were made.
Going to Nowra.
Yeah, I just wanted to fit in.
I'm from Nowra. I was born there.
Oofed.
Yeah. Berry.
Berry? Oh, Berry.
No, Nowra, North Nowra.
Okay.
Anyway, I don't want to tell too much about my background, but I do, and I'm Nowra all the way. All right, so this is for Clement Otis, and I want to shout out to Indosol, Crush Organics, and Kingpin Skate Supply. Get on their websites, use affiliate code THT, you'll get some discounts, you'll support the show, everybody's happy, and those of you that have been doing that already, I just want to thank you for your support. Cheers. Terrible happy talks. Terrible happy talks.
Yeah, good to be here, man.
Whoa.
Submissive donut lifestyle.
3, 2, 1. Alright, let's do this. Today's guest is the president of Suicide Prevention Initiative, Talk to Me Bro. He's on a mission to break the stigma surrounding suicide, and he's our past guest on the show. Last time he was on, we talked all things prevention, support, Tinder dates gone wrong, and much, much more. Check it out. It's episode number 145. This week, he's with me in person to check in, share journey, experiences, challenges, and hopes for the future. Mr. Jack Brown, welcome.
Shan, thanks for having me again, brother.
Dude, thank you for being on. You're a good talker.
Thanks, my man. I don't have much else going for me.
No, I think you do. I feel like we just did a podcast before the podcast.
Yeah, we should have had it rolling then.
The whole time you were talking, I was like, God damn it, I should be recording this guy. Mate, I want to have you back on because I want to go over the strategies for supporting people who are struggling. Let's get straight into it. I think we need to constantly remind people, okay, how do we have difficult conversations with people that we know who are having a difficult time?
It's a fantastic question, Shan. I suppose to hash on what we chatted about last time, it's really important that if you think it's going to be uncomfortable for you, I suppose you've got to think of how it's going to feel for that person to be going through that struggle. And even though that little bit of time to be able to ask that question of, and are you okay is fantastic to start with, but when asking questions, if you do feel that one of your friends is struggling, it's really important to try and ask a question that's not so open-closed. Especially for guys, it's very easy to be like, hey, are you okay? And, what would you answer, Shan?
I'm good.
That's, conversation.
So that's an example of a closed question.
Closed question, yeah, exactly right.
Well,
so we want to ask open questions, We want to ask open questions. So if you were to chat to someone, a really good way, I'll try and condense it, but a really good way that we use and we teach it, talk to me, bro, is to potentially to mention things that you've noticed about that person that you're worried about, to be able to bring up that, you do care and you've seen they're withdrawn, haven't been turned up to footy training, they've been drinking more, they've been taking a ton of drugs. You care for them and you just need to ask, if you are worried about them and you do think they're suicidal, then ask that question. And there's 3 ways that we teach to ask that. And we try not use language around the word commit like I talked about last time. We want to use language that's straight to the point. And those questions, the first one is, are you thinking of killing yourself? Are you suicidal? Is another, really good one. And I suppose the last one would be, did I cover, are you thinking of killing yourself?
Yeah, I think you did.
Yeah. Or are you thinking of suicide? Are you thinking, and the reason we want to ask and talk about suicide and not use, say, the language like, are you thinking of harming yourself, is because self-harm and suicide are two completely different things, right? And we want to make sure that we grasp exactly what's going on so that we can, do our best to help. And, we're not psychologists, counsellors or anything like that. But once we have that information, we can at least support that person to be able to be with them and then refer them on to, or, call Lifeline, which is incredible and we're partnered with. And, all these other organisations that are out there to help, because there is help, but, it's just that tough part of wanting to make that phone call when you've got those dark clouds over you.
Yeah, I could imagine. Do you think someone who is in a dark place would answer those questions honestly?
I suppose yes and no. Like, I've worked with people that don't answer honestly and I have been worried about, but all you can do is ask those questions. You can't force someone to answer something truthfully. That's where it's kind of up to them to do, right? But what I would do, let's say you ask a question and you say, hey, are you thinking of killing yourself? And they go, nah, but something in your belly and your gut instinct is playing up. And that is a thing. Your gut instinct is definitely, I can't remember the study on it, but there's something to indicate that it's actually quite relevant if you do have a feeling. Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. That if you are worried about that person, what I've done in the past is just send out a message to them or even call them a bit later after you've caught up with them and just say, look, I know you didn't want to chat earlier. I know you said this, but I just want you to know that no matter what happens, I'm here for you. And when you're ready to talk, I'm a phone call away.
Yeah. And like identifying those signs and symptoms, like you mentioned, like, things like not turning up to footy training, drinking more. What else is there that would give it away?
So there's quite a few, like, so anger.
Okay, like prone to anger.
Yeah, prone to anger, like really short, like short temper is a big one. Another one which is a bit that can go unnoticed potentially is if one of your friends, which is usually quite down and struggling, kind of rocks up and is a complete like state of euphoria or is really happy.
Like a manic sort of behaviour.
Well, not in the sense that they rock up, right, and they're really happy. That's a lot like, so in our work a lot of the time, if that's the case where they've had a complete shift, a lot of the time you can feel like, oh, wow, that this could be really positive, but could also be the fact that they've made up their mind and they're finally at peace.
Oh, damn.
So, yeah, and that's one thing that's, one sign that's been noted to look out for. But at the end of the day, I suppose one point that I want to get across is that we're all human. Nobody's perfect. We can't sit around and monitor our friends 24/7. Part of the work we do at Talk to Me Bro is how to help a friend that might be struggling, but then how to help ourselves. How can we get help and how can we put our hands up? Because that's one thing that we've seen, specifically with males, is that they struggle to sometimes put their hand up and go, you know what, I need a hand, for that fear of judgment and that fear of, not having it together.
Yeah. So like looking after ourselves so we don't delve to those deep levels of anguish and sadness?
Yeah, definitely. So we've got what's called a mental toolbox, and a lot of other organisations have some great terminology for it. But essentially it's when you're starting to feel like shit, it's things that we know make ourselves happy that we can go to. Because when things are shit, and I'm sure anybody listening, when they do feel like that, it's sometimes hard to think of things to do, get the motivation. But if you can have them nearby, so for me personally, it's going for walks around the harbour because it's got a lot of positive and happy connotations for me when I was younger struggling and overcoming them, right?
Yeah.
So when I am struggling, that's one of my go-tos is walking around the harbour because it makes me feel better. Now, if I do that a few times and try some other things in my toolbox like the gym, chatting with mates and stuff like that, if that's not working, that's when I need to escalate it, and that's when I need to book myself in to get another mental health plan, see a psychologist and things like that, counsellor.
Prevention strategies.
For sure, yeah, exactly right. The prevention's always better than the cure. Yeah. And being able to I'm very fortunate that I've had those experiences and I do have some great support networks around me, but a lot of people don't. And I suppose that's who we're trying to get through in Talk to Me Bro, are the people that don't necessarily know how to help, reach out for help. They're the ones that we want to chat to, to be able to support those that do reach out for help, but to be also try and encourage others that it's okay and you're not going to be, judged. Or you know what? Is that the people that matter won't judge you.
Ooh, yeah, that's the scariest thing. I didn't think about that. Yeah, that's what I'm most concerned about.
Is fear of being judged?
By the people that matter.
I think my personal opinion on that is that I know within my circle, is that anybody within my immediate, that matters in my life would only support me.
Yeah. Maybe I'm thinking in the wrong terms. Maybe I'm thinking more like people that I want validation of. And I mean, it's hard for me to say that, but I still seek that. I don't want to, but I want to be validated by people. Just like in high school, I want to be in the cool crowd.
Oh, for sure. But, why can't you have validation as well as make mistakes?
True. It's a good point.
I mean, I suppose you can – it takes away the fact that you – obviously to be validated, you need to be near perfect, I suppose. And I think being part of being successful is failing, fucking up, booking yourself into a psychologist, tumbling over, struggling.
Do you seek validation though? Because you're quite, you've put yourself in a position where you're public. You're in a public space. You're putting yourself out there in a public sphere pretty massively.
Good question. I suppose I've always done this, like talk to me, bro, I've always done this for the sole purpose of my motivation has never been to get clout, and my motivation is never to be on like a public stage or anything like that. I just know the feeling of A, being suicidal, and B, losing someone, family member to suicide, and I don't want other people to feel the way I did.
Yeah.
And that's really been strong for me. And even now that, Luke, who runs the Talk to Me Bro up in Newcastle, is the top bloke, even though, we're doing some incredible things with all of our Talk to Me Bro community, I think it's so important to not lose sight of why things started and where we're at. And, the whole mission behind this is to help people that are struggling.
People, not just men.
People.
So the actual name Talk to Me Bro kind of conjures images of a men's group.
Yep.
Have you started to be more inclusive?
Yeah, for sure. So we've started a female kind of sector that's been fantastic. We've had girls run female. Oh, sorry.
Okay, listen, we had a toilet break. Yeah, I gave Jack one of my special coffees and maybe had an adverse effect on him. Sorry, bro.
Absolutely smoking. How embarrassing. But we're back with vengeance.
No, listen, we were talking about fear of judgment, validation. I mean, I think in this world of social media, everything, everyone's looking for some validation. But would you agree with me if you think it's gone full circle, or is it getting worse? Like, people don't care about followers and shit anymore.
Yes and no, though. I still think that that's the older and the more experienced you are. So I think that we're lucky in that sense. But I think a lot of young people still seek a lot of validation from it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I think that's what's super toxic about it.
Really?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I think I know that there's a lot of people that we work with that struggle with their mental health because of social media.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy.
Well, it's just, you and me talked about this last time, Shan, it's just so easy to roll out of bed and you see your mate who's having a pizza in fucking Italy and you're about to go, work all day and stuff, even though there's levels to it. But it just drains you. So, being on your phone so much can give you headache. Like, there's so many negative things to it. Like, they're fantastic, but, I sound like an old fuck, but they can be quite bad.
I mean, is this something that comes up regularly in the conversations that you guys have?
Yeah. So, one of the questionnaires, I suppose, if you're struggling, is that you need to go through and do what we call if you're going to have, say you're a Ferrari, and we're all Ferraris out here. If you're going to do a check of the Ferrari, for example, you need to go through and see what could possibly be wrong with it. So usually you don't just, and it certainly can happen, but there's things that we can have a look at. Right, I'm feeling like shit right now. Why am I feeling like shit? Okay, is my sleep good?
Yeah.
Am I eating good? I'm spending 9 hours, my average screen time is 9 hours a day. Well, that's not mine personally. Yeah, no, not a chance. No, but that's what I'm saying is that as you go through, like the little checklist for, righto, I'm not feeling too good at the moment. Why am I feeling like this? Well, I sleep 4 hours a day because I'm on my phone for, so many scrolling, doing the TikToks and stuff like that. I'm eating like shit. As well as, I'm on the piss heaps. Like, there's so many things where you can sit back and go, righto, if I just made a few changes, maybe that could help. Bless you. Bless you.
Oh, my God. Excuse me. What's going on tonight?
It's all happening.
That change in weather has just given me the worst hay fever. But I feel okay. I don't feel sick or anything. But anyway. But, yeah, getting back to just fundamentals can make such a big difference to your overall well-being. And I just think people just completely forget, and they need to be reminded. Eat well, sleep well, exercise, don't look at your phone, socialise, talk to your family and friends, and see how you feel then before you, start feeling sorry for yourself. Would you agree?
Well, sometimes that routine, though, can That routine drives discipline though, and sometimes discipline's hard to have. Like realistically, sometimes it is hard to eat well because, it's easier to get dopamine from a cheeseburger than it is to go for a walk.
That's a good point.
And it's about making those smart choices. And just recently, actually, I've had kind of a big shift in my life where I've been making a lot more positive choices in terms of I went with my partner 2 months without drinking. It's the longest since I've been, about 17 since probably 17 since I've gone without drinking.
And?
Fantastic. I haven't slept this good in my life.
Really?
So we had drinks for my birthday, like a few, and have a few with the boys here, Danny Mangoes and stuff like that. But yeah, it's the best I've now that because especially in lockdown, I got so accustomed, like drinking became such part of the norm. And that's one thing I've worked on is like cutting that out. Because again, I don't like when I drink heaps. I don't like the person I become when I drink heaps.
Yeah.
I much prefer the sober Jack. So I worked on that, and that was fantastic. I actually overcompensated a bit. I thought I'd lose more weight, but that mum voice in my head was saying, well, mate, you're not drinking. Get your fucking Uber Eats. Get it. Get that Saigon Senses in you. And big fan.
Yeah.
Once it touches your lips, it's so good.
Well, it is. It is. But again, is that eating that junk food, is that a numbing behaviour as well?
Big time. So that's that's exactly right. Like I'm replacing it. Because even though two evils don't make it okay, and not to say that, junk food is bad, or can be as bad as alcohol, but in terms of like, it's very easy to replace something negative with something less negative, not positive. And that's what I felt like I did quite a bit. And I was just replacing negative things in my life with, things that were less negative. So now, like, certainly worked on the diet, exercise, training, 1-2 times a day minimum. And my sleep has never been this good. And because my sleep's never been this good, I'm the most productive I've been in business, in work, in
sleep, man.
Sleep, yeah, so underestimated. And so I'm so used to seeing like a lot of the Goggins and stuff, which are absolute animals and stuff like that. Not to take anything away from people like that, but that mentality of like you don't need sleep, you can sleep when you're dead. I used to believe that until I saw what I can accomplish having 8 hours sleep or 7 to 8 hours sleep versus 3, having 8 hours and waking up at 6 a.m. versus going to bed at 2 or 3 a.m.
Like, what prompted the decision to have a break from the drink?
To be honest, Shan, I was having really bad anxiety attacks. Yeah, I was really anxious. Like I said, I don't like the person, I'm not the worst person in the world, but just I really value and put a lot of work into myself for, me, for being sober so I can be the best person for everybody else around me. And when I drink, all those things that I work on kind of go away. And I've had problems with anxiety in the past, and it just exacerbated it massively when I drank, right?
Like the next day?
Next day. So I had really bad anxiety the next day, but
it
wasn't just that one day. It was for days after. And like I'd have anxiety attacks. I was getting really bad. And it wasn't like, so my drinking, I wasn't drinking. I wouldn't say I had a drinking problem, but I just was drinking heaps more than I wanted to. And like the physiological points behind it were like I was getting bad headaches to a point where, and that was exacerbating my anxiety because I've got something what's called HOCD, which is health OCD, that I've been working through. And what it is it's catastrophizing essentially like basic stuff. So if you get a headache, if I get like something minor that's wrong with me, I can often jump to, I've got a brain tumor, I've got this and I've got that. And there's no amount of science or anything that can calm me down when I get to that. And I've had to work massively through that over the past few months because I had it when I was a kid, but I went really, really well at coping with it and overcoming the anxiety and things like that. But just recently it started to kick in again and it was horrible, man. It's crippling for anybody that's listening that's ever experienced it or anything like that, or even with OCD. It's one of those things where you're trying to... It's actually crazy, Shan, because what health OCD can do is it can actually present physical symptoms of the problem that you're worrying about. So these headaches that I was having where I thought I had a brain tumour were actually brought on because I thought about having a brain tumour. And then all the symptoms and signs that I, was silly enough to Google, well, I wouldn't say silly enough, I need to be kind to myself, is that was my way of coping at the time. Is that the way I dealt with that was Googling it and seeing that. And then from there, because anxiety breeds off uncertainty and there's no way, unless I had a CAT scan in my room, and it wouldn't be healthy to get one of those a day. I wouldn't be able to prove or anything like that. And that's where the anxiety gets to bury its little head in and goes, righto, there's uncertainty here, I'm going to stick in here. And so I thought I had to make changes. Like I went and got professional help and again, could not be more grateful for the mother I have to support me. My partner supported me. And again, Shan, like you and me were talking about, I'm just super grateful to have the support network around me because, those... are really irrational thoughts that I have. And now that I'm out of that anxiety-driven kind of force field, I can see that. So,
yeah. Have you ever heard anxiety being described as a good thing?
big time. That's actually how it's, funnily enough, that's how I present it in our sessions with Talk to Me, Bro.
Okay, how do you present it?
I give the old saber-toothed tiger analogy.
Yeah.
And that is anxiety is there to keep us alive. It's extremely positive, and our relationship with it can either be positive or negative, but at the end of the day, anxiety is purely there to, keep you alive. So the saber-toothed tiger alley that we go down is that if back in our caveman days away, or cavemen, cavewomen, whichever one, back in the day when you were walking around, you go out of the cave, you'd leave the cave to go get food or whatever, you'd hear a twig snap, you'd turn around, it was a saber-toothed tiger, chase you all back into the cave, and, your brain would create that neural pathway. So for next time you heard a twig snap, even if it was in the cave, what would you automatically think?
Yeah.
You're in danger.
Yeah.
So it's all about those, in my opinion, it's all about those pathways, neural pathways that it create, but you can definitely change it. And my approach now is a lot more friendly with anxiety and a lot more accepting, because the more you accept anxiety and the less you fight it, the easier life is, baby.
Dude, it's easier to go with the flow of the stream as opposed to swim against it.
Big time. Big time, my man.
But I like the idea of anxiety being an indicator that something needs to change in your life.
Yeah.
And that's really been a positive thing for me. It's like, okay, I'm anxious. Okay, what do I need to reflect on? What needs to change? Why am I feeling anxious? And is it my job? Is it my relationship? Is it my diet? Is it my use of substances? What's driving this anxiety? So, it can be, very debilitating for a lot of people, but it's like it might be a time to step back and reflect on how you're living.
Big time, man. I suppose the other thing I coupled that with was being transparent and talking about it to people, and be very hypocritical if I didn't talk about my problems to people, wouldn't it? Yeah. So, you know what I mean? So considering it's in the logo. So that's one thing that I really have been cognizant of, is the fact that I've been practicing what I'm preaching, and I'm talking about my anxiety. I'm flagging it with people that are close in my circle that know how I'm doing and stuff like that, and facing it head on.
How's it?
Again, I'm so lucky to have the friendship group I've got, because everyone's pretty cool. Some people don't really understand it necessarily, especially health. Yeah.
So I've never heard it described like that. Like, the term I'm more familiar with is like being maybe a hypochondriac.
Hypochondriac, yeah, that's
same sort of thing.
Like, yeah, exactly, man. Yeah, I suppose the only reason I have seen it as hypochondriac before. The only reason I know it as health OCD is because that's what I was diagnosed with. Is I suppose it's a bit easier on the ears when you're a young bloke to hear that you've got health OCD rather than being a hypochondriac. And I suppose that's kind of what happened. But once I figured out what it was, I kind of understood it. And it's actually unbelievable how, and it makes me think, so it's very negative in the sense that, you can't believe, how is my brain giving me headaches? How is my brain? But if you flip that and you think, if my brain is capable of that, I just might be fucking Neo from the Matrix. You're like, what can I achieve? If my brain can do that in a negative, it's not just designed to be negative. Your brain's there to support you and keep you alive. And yeah. I think I draw a lot of strength from. I'm like, my brain can force me to do that. Or not force me. My brain can try and lead me into this area, but we can utilise that to go in other areas.
Yeah. I think we talked about it last time you were on. We talked about the Matrix, and
Still a big fan.
I'm a big fan. I just think this life is, I say it all the time on here, like, I sometimes just trip out at how crazy life is.
Yeah, it's nuts,
I'm like,
isn't it?
this isn't reality. Like, it's some crazy things happen in this world. And I'm like, is this real?
Oh, man. And like,
is this real?
There's so many things that happen. Like,
do I need to plug in or unplug?
To give you can I tell you about how I got my current job at Open Arms?
Please, dude.
So Luke and myself were about to walk across. We're going to do the 4,000 Ks for 4,000 lives lost to suicide due to COVID. We're going to walk from Perth to Sydney. We're going to walk from Perth to Sydney.
Whoa. 4,000 Ks for 4,000 lives lost
to suicide in 2020.
Is that how many went into? Is that
the number? The actual statistic.
Is that global or Australia?
No, that's Australia. The statistic was actually 3,000 from the top of my head, 3,260. But that doesn't account for car crashes in terms of that weren't accidents, overdoses that recorded as. So is that when I look at a lot of different areas of suicide that's not recorded as suicide, it would be close to that 4,000 mark.
Because the stat that I've seen was around 350 in a year. It's been around between 340 and 360
No, in Australia, man.
In Australia?
In Australia, it's 3,000. It's 3,400 to 3,600
a year.
Yeah, man. To give you an idea, in this podcast, you and me be for 2 hours, we'll lose one person to suicide, roughly.
Wow.
In Australia.
See, the stat I also seen, it was like 10.4 per 100,000 people. That's the stat. So maybe, okay. I'm not like the best maths guy, but it's too many.
Oh, yeah, big time. I mean,
one is too many.
Yeah, exactly right. If you've experienced anything to do with suicide, that's exactly right. But that's so that's what we're going to do, right? We're going to walk 4,000 kilometres for each life lost to suicide that. Yeah, it was nuts. We planned it out in 2020, last year, 2021, yeah. And it was just before the lockdown, right? So we had all these incredible plans. And it took us fucking ages to get permits to walk from Perth because we were going to facilitate our sessions on the way, right? And create as much awareness as we could. We had plans to talk to over 100,000 people when all of it was lined up. 2 weeks before we left, lockdown.
Dude.
We had sponsors like Avita Motorhomes. They gave us a motorhome for the trip. It was like a $200,000 incredible motorhome for us to do, but just for our crew. We were obviously walking, but we had our crew. Yeah, we had the sleep. So hooked us up. So we had some incredible sponsors that were helping us out and stuff like that. And then it wasn't even. We had our black tie night on the 14th of May, and then a week later, lockdown and everything. Months of planning done out the window.
That's unbelievable.
So we pivoted when that happened. I'll get to the job in a sec, but we pivoted from that and then we went to a walkathon that people could do during lockdown in September, and we had a fantastic response, and we had a heap of walkers that we sent a shout out to everyone that walked, or everyone that raised over $100 or something like that for us. And we had heaps of people walking, and the walk was going to be, if you're walking, it's for either someone that you've lost, could just be because, you really want to help out. Talk to Me Bro, but it was a walk, let's say for Big Matty, which is the whole reason that Talk to Me Bro exists, is that I walked, for Maddie and the people that I've lost to suicide. So during that walk, it was a bit of a thought about them and being I'm walking, and we walked 9 kilometres a day. So it was a big, decent, but that's because that was 9 suicides a day. That's the stat.
In Australia?
I'm telling you.
Just Australia?
Just Australia. Shan, suicide's the biggest killer under 45 for males. It's double the national road toll.
I thought heart disease was.
No, males under 45.
Under 45.
Under 45 at suicide. It's double the national road toll.
I guess my mind just keeps going back to where are we going wrong as a species? Well, so if this was happening in any other species, there'd be reasons like there's famine, there's disease, and that particular species is okay, we've got to basically evolve ourselves out here because we're not going to survive, or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, is it just, we're living wrong? It's that straightforward to me.
Yeah, I suppose that's true, but I know
it's a big picture idea in question, but
I was just about to say,
what's the source of it? What's the core?
Well, one thing that you got to remember, so we're going within suicide, we're already dealing with it being taboo, but then you've also got religious beliefs, which everyone to their own, that's fantastic, but suicide being sin. So there's just so many different angles that we're dealing with it in terms of how people perceive it and everyone's relationship to it. But I suppose if you look 60 years ago, let's go 20 years ago at how we viewed mental health and suicide versus where we are now and how long humans have been around in general. Don't get me wrong, we have so much fucking work to do. That's a given. But how far we've evolved in 20 years to we're at a point now where there's a lot more inclusivity. We're talking about suicide. The fact that, we're allowed to go out, we're allowed, but the fact that schools, workplaces and gyms, and, we've presented over 25,000 Australians since beginning in 2018. The fact that it's being received like this is really inspiring to me, that we've still got a ton of work to do, but fuck me, Dad, we have changed massively over the past 20 years. Because you're right, suicide is, but the trickle-on effect of kids being able to, young adults being able to chat, we will see, though, that trickle-on effect, not necessarily now, because there still is that, we're breaking that stigma of that old-school mentality of harden up, it'll be right. It fucking won't be. Clearly, it won't be right, because suicide's the biggest killer of males under 45. And we're still, is a fact for anybody listening, is that just as many, if not more, females actually attempt suicide than males.
But they're less successful with it. Is that the wrong thing? Not less successful. God, okay, sorry.
No, bro, so common. Can I just say that is extremely...
I didn't mean to say it like that. I mean, less, that they attempt, there's more... I read the stat as well.
Lethal.
There's more attempts, but less completion.
Yeah, so it's less lethal. So yeah, no, that's cool, man. Honestly, each time I come on, we go through sales.
It's like, and then my mind goes, I'm going to edit that out because you sound like a fucking
No,
idiot.
you don't.
But then I'm like, nah, I'm leaving it in because I am ignorant sometimes and I make mistakes. And it was a stupid word to say. There's nothing successful about it.
Man, no, not at all. But look, the reason, what's good about this conversation though is you may have had this chat, and then going forward, when someone says like something like that to you in the future, you'll be able to correct them, and that's that trickle-on effect that we're talking about.
Well, I must admit, I don't use the word commit anymore when I talk about it.
I know.
I'm really
one.
conscious of it.
Because that's what we need to, part of us evolving, right, is being able to use better language around suicide, and we want to use less judgy language like commit as if it's a crime, and we want to try and be as supportive and inclusive. So the way that I would say it is that females use less lethal ways, and that hence why there's less suicides in females.
Yeah, it's a cry for help.
So we've still got, but here's the thing, we've still got the issue of suicide, right? And that's something that we're working towards, is being able to culminate. And that's what we're talking about before you spiked my coffee and absolutely smoked me.
Best coffee,
with that.
man.
Yeah, it's fantastic coffee.
MCT oil, black pepper.
Yeah.
It's good.
I'll use it again, not on a podcast, but I'll use it again, man.
It's good for your gut.
But what we were talking about beforehand is how we've raised a female component. Sorry, just to touch back on that, of how we have raised that female component. Just to finish off that, we've got some incredible female facilitators coming on, because we understand that 3 out of 4 suicides are male, but we still have that one female, and we want to try and help everybody that we can, because you might not connect with the guy, but that's why we've got female facilitators and vice versa, just as many options to connect as possible. Yeah,
and it's good to see all the support, and you were talking about how our societies are becoming more inclusive, and I think it's largely attributed to this woke movement, which gets a lot of shit put on it, but I think great, because people are seeking for answers and truth and being more like enlightened and spiritual. I think these are good things overall. But I guess my concern is, are we not building resilience? At what stage do we say to people, listen, get your shit together, clean yourself up, and get busy looking after yourself and support yourself?
I think, man, in terms of the woke stuff and that, like, I agree, man. I just think we need to be less fucking judgy. Like, if you're woke, if you're left, if you're this or that. Like,
I just like me saying woke.
No. I just think, because remember last time I was on You and Me woke, because you said that you were woke.
Did I?
Yeah, I don't know if you remember. You said I never use that word. No, you said I never use that word because we were talking about you being woke.
Am I?
And yeah, I reckon.
What does it mean anyway?
I don't know, but this is what
does woke mean? Like, you're awake to shit.
Oh, I just think it's like you're
woken up.
It's like you're out of the matrix kind of thing. Yeah. So but like my kind of thing is, I just feel like as a society we're super judgmental, and if you don't fit in someone's box, then like you're no good. Like, it's just like, if everybody could just chill out and be fucking accepting of each other and understand that we're all humans having this experience.
Yeah.
Like, I know we're getting super philosophical here, but it's like we're all going through this for the first time that we know of. Like, how do you know more? Like, what way? It doesn't mean that you're the right way. We just need to be more, and what we're trying to do at Talking Bros is just be inclusive and look out for each other, regardless of if you're black, white, girl, guy, what you believe in, whether you're woke or not. It's just being able to have each other's back and look out for each other.
I think it's that simple. If you're causing no harm, then you're all right with me.
100%. And I think that's the problem, man. It's just that Yeah, but then this is where it gets so, like, grey. It's like, well, sitting on the fence is causing harm as well. And it's things like that, It's like... Well, I think that I got to stop saying I think. I feel like I'm saying that too much at the moment, but I feel like way too many people fight to be right, whereas they've got to be right. And I just being able to live with each other and accept that you're going to have points of difference. You know what I mean? Just like in terms of, if you're sitting on the fence, you're wrong. You can be like, you and me can be friends, and you and me can have totally different opinions. I just think that's the problem, is that a lot of people in society nowadays, and especially within mental health, is it's like, if you don't agree with me, you're wrong. Yeah. And we can't be friends. Where it's like, well, fuck, we don't have to agree on everything.
Yeah, but we can respect each other.
Respect each other. Because, you're a top bloke, Shan. I like coming on the potty, and I like hanging out.
Thank you.
And you can talk about being woke, and I'm not going to judge you.
Thank you for that. I don't know if I'm woke. I don't actually know if I really know what it means. But
you're not woke if that's the case.
Shit. Yeah.
I'm not, man. I got no idea what it. Genuinely, I got no idea what Oxford's definition of woke is, but all I can say...
Is it even in Oxford?
I don't think so.
Like
probably
woke up.
Urban Dictionary maybe.
Yeah, it's interesting. I just said it. I think. I lost my train of thought, but I feel like it's this inclusivity, and then also, so going back to talking about your adversaries, like people that are different to you or challenge you. Like, let's
so
face
about
it,
resilience, that's right.
yeah, but what I'm saying,
sorry.
the point I want to make is your adversaries are your greatest teachers. So when I come up against someone that has a vastly different view to me, instead of shutting them down, I'm actually, and I sometimes like they repel me and they make me angry and they spark all those feelings because it's like, I can't believe you would think like that, you fucking dickhead. Like I want to say that to them. But what I'm starting to, like what I've learned is I just really believe those adversaries or people that you disagree with, they're your greatest teachers. I think you need to step back and really try and see things from their perspective and respect that and respect the fact that they are fully entitled to their stance and their opinion. You know, and if it's not for you, it doesn't mean you have to hang out with them or be best friends with them. But I think there's a lot to learn from your adversaries. That's all I want to say.
I completely agree, Shan. And I think just being compassionate. I think people need to, I'm just going to keep saying I don't fucking care.
Dude,
I'm going with it, my man.
Do you?
I think what's important is that, you know, like you were saying, even though people have potentially juxtaposing opinions and things like, you know, yeah, a bad word there, is like exactly like you said, is that way too many people, like you and me have already talked about, is that they feel like if you don't agree with them, like it's so important that you do learn from other people, because what happens is people sometimes forget that opinions and other things like that sometimes aren't formed from research, they're formed from bias. And that like in terms of from the family, from things like that. So being able to, and one thing I feel like I'm getting better at as I get a bit older is being able to sit back and go, that person, like no one's born racist, no one's born sexist. This is fed into them from when they're a kid. Now, I'm very fortunate, it sits back and it's a moment of gratitude for me because I get to sit back and think, well, I was raised by two incredible parents, had a good family, house, like a roof over my head, and I was taught to be accepting of everybody. But I know from the work that I'm in is that that's not the case. A lot of people aren't afforded that. And just because they do have different opinions on that, maybe that's an opportunity for you to be able to learn and grow with that person, to be able to sit back and kind of understand that, yeah, just because they don't agree with you doesn't mean that they're wrong or you're wrong.
Empathy, man. It really does come back to empathy and just trying to put yourself in someone else's shoes.
Because I learn a ton from people that I don't agree with.
Yeah. I mean, when you say, oh, you know, I had grew up with two parents. I mean, I don't know what that's like, you know, from a split family, like many, many people, you know, and I think that empathy is what's going to actually drive the survival of our species, because at the moment we're all just like slinging mud at each other and seeing what sticks, and based on ego and wanting to be right, you know, and it's like, do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? Have you ever heard that saying?
Yeah, big time.
And I love that saying.
I think it's so important. And that's what a lot of people, and that's why social media is so toxic, is because it gives a platform sometimes to the people that really, really should not have it. I mean, look, everybody has that's the best part of living in Australia. We've all got freedom of speech. But I just think that people say really, really mean things that they would never say in person that they do on the internet.
The thing is, social media is not free speech either. It's so controlled and regulated.
Big time,
that's not an independent or open media at all.
Yeah.
You know, and that's actually why I love podcasting. I think podcasting is the most pure form of media.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it's I mean, it can't be regulated. Some of the directories can take podcasts down if they're causing a lot of controversy, but it's really where the free speech is, not posting on social media. I think really social media shouldn't be used for anything more than like funny memes.
Big time.
You know, and maybe to promote your podcast, and that's it.
Yeah, I agree.
But that's what's so for me, like I'm addicted. I will admit it. I'm addicted to Instagram. I'm always looking at that shit. Like, and I know I'm doing it.
You're not alone.
I know, but it's disturbing how well they've done it to control people.
Well, it's similar to my experience with pokies and gambling, man. Is
it the same thing?
Yeah, man. So it's designed. So it's actually designed to release dopamine and all the chemicals.
Endless scrolling.
Correct, man. Yeah. And it's Like the algorithms are created by psychologists and by very intelligent people to be able to, like, for example, to send notifications through for you to check your phone. Like, and they're called ticks. How many times you check your phone, like, throughout the day, is you might just. As I said that, Shan got his phone out. That's cool.
Just my friends flying to the airport, on the way to the airport. And anyway, keep going.
Sorry, my man. So yeah, I think that's important. Is that, you know, by understanding that all these things and being easy on yourself is, if you're addicted to your phone, like for example, my demise was pokies and online sports betting, is that these things have been designed to release dopamine in my brain and release all these happy chemicals in my brain which crave, leaving me want more and more and more to stay on it for longer and longer and longer.
So someone who had a gambling addiction or a pokey addiction, which I mean I have never had.
Yeah.
Do you get the same? Does it elicit the same feelings when you're on social media? So you can compare
in ways. So for example,
you feel the similarities in it.
Yeah, in some ways. Like it's certainly not like playing like for example, for a gambling addict, it's certainly not like playing the pokies. It's very hard to emulate that because of that experience that was going on, especially within the fight or flight system and things like that. But in terms of, you know, your phone gives you notifications and gives you beeps and stuff like that, and as soon as you hear that beep, you think, oh, bang, you're straight on your phone, dopamine, bang.
Yeah. Okay,
so that's why, like, these things, it's definitely a hit though. Like it's probably not comparative, but it very much is in similar in way. Sorry, that sounds ridiculous. It's not comparative, but I mean that it's not on the level of gambling in my experience, nowhere near. However, you know, the notifications and everything coming through are there. They're not by coincidence. It's there to get that person to be on their phone all day, every day.
Yeah, you don't turn them off?
The notifications, yeah. So I very rarely... Do I have you on Facey? Yeah, I do. So I go through stints where I don't have a personal Instagram and I don't have, I'll delete Facebook for a few months at a time. It's tricky because Talk to Me Bro is like, we've got Instagram and I don't delete that or anything, or the Talk to Me Bro Facebook. But personally, to share messages and events and stuff, I kind of need Facebook for my personal, but I find myself scrolling endlessly sometimes and I hate that, and that's why I'll get rid of it for a bit. But it's an important business tool, so it's kind of balancing it. But in terms of notifications, no, I don't have notifications set up for anything, man.
Let's say it didn't exist. How would you communicate with your members?
Probably in person or via... Probably via. But I suppose if you were to take away all technology, I suppose it'd either be like letter, you know, the old carrier pigeon. No, but
email?
I reckon, it'd have to be email. Because remember, emails back in the day were fucking, that was the equivalent of Facebook.
When you send a group email, it goes to every single one of those people in the email. Every single recipient actually gets it. Yeah. But on social media, like let's say you post a story, not every single person that follows Talk to Me Bro is going to actually see that post. In fact, the algorithm will only expose it to less than 10% of your followers. So when you say it's a really important business tool, my question, and I use that narrative for myself when I promote the podcast on it. Mm-hmm. My question is it really that important of a business tool?
For me, for example, we run the catch-ups each Friday, and I run our LOR ones. Or not, that's not the right terminology. Sorry, I don't run. I'm very much a part of it, and we all run it. But I'm a part of the Wollongong catch-ups. And one way for me to advertise to friends on there that might not be aware or might not check the group chat or something like that is through that event. Like, hey, we have this coming up. Hey, we have that coming up. Because then they can then share it, especially people like psychologists, counsellors, or anything that I work with. They can share it on their platform. You know, even we got an event coming up in Darwin. I've shared that on my Facebook, and then some of my Darwin friends have shared that, and we've gotten people from that, like participants that have come from that. Bless you. This is smacking you for 6.
Just great podcasting etiquette. Yep, sneeze, cough. You had the shit before. We're going great. Like I said, that weather change has just killed me.
Yeah, it was the weather man for me too. So.
That's the line of coke I just did. No, I'm just kidding. I don't do drugs. But anyway, yeah, man. Wow. Okay.
So in that sense, I can definitely see that it can be a hindrance, but for me, I have seen it work because of like going to Darwin, share it with Darwin friends, they've shared it with their community, and we've gotten members that are going to come along to that. So
yeah, I guess. Oh my God. Sorry, Jack. Excuse me.
Bless you.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess that I see where you're coming from. I know for me, when I don't look at social media for a few days, man, when I'm like, okay, I'm going to look at it, I get excited like I'm like a little kid at Christmas. And I don't like it. And I'm trying to quit it. And I reckon there needs to be like...
Can I give you a tip?
Groups. There needs to be a 12-step recovery group for fucking Instagram?
I can give you a little tip for a few of it.
What?
First one is putting your phone on black and white, taking away colour. Have you tried that before?
How do you do that?
Give me your phone.
I don't know if I want to commit to this. How do you do this?
I'm telling you now. I'll do it in 2 seconds for you. I'll walk any viewers. I'll walk any viewers through this, right? So if you're on your phone at the moment, we'll go to settings. Where's your
Don't
settings?
read me messages.
Where's your settings for me? Why did Pizza Hut call you at 3 a.m?
I don't know.
Okay, so what we want to do, so to make your phone black and white, and I'll explain why we're going to do this. But for anybody listening, let's just go into it and let's do it. You go to accessibility in settings, go display and text size, then go to color filters, and then flick the switch and go to off. And now how less attractive is a black and white phone?
Oh, shit. I don't want to look at it.
Exactly right. So part of one thing of getting off my phone more is
Less like
turning...
a pokey.
Yeah, exactly right. And see, the one fun fact, Shan, your phone looks like shit now.
Change it back.
But one fun fact about your phone, right, is that you will never see colours outside in actual nature that you will on your phone.
I know. Then I'm like, our phone's making us evolve to like be more like better with colours and stuff. Like we're getting better eyesight because of these things.
No, you're getting worse. Fun, yeah. So your eyesight actually, it's actually really bad for your eyesight.
Dude, change it back.
But you can't deal with it.
Get it away from me.
I'm telling you now, Shan. If you want to be on,
disgusting.
If you want to be on your phone less, that's one thing that I would highly recommend because, look, the first day is extremely difficult because you think I'm so used to it.
I like it, though.
But after 3 or 4 days of having a black and white screen, you'll find your screen time goes down 30% minimum.
It's like, I just can't be bothered.
It just looks shit. Yeah. And then all of a sudden you start having a more appreciation for the actual cool stuff in life, that's out there.
It comes back to dopamine hit. We're looking for that dopamine hit. That shit's addictive.
And you look at how much dopamine, we use so much more dopamine now than we did, when we were years ago. Essentially, that's because all these new devices that are around are designed for dopamine for us to be on, especially with technology. Yeah. So I feel like that's important to remember as well.
Yeah, I think so, for sure. Speaking of like really important things, man, like I know that combat sports have been a big part of your journey. You like boxing, you like fighting and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Do you think like for men an outlet like that is very important?
I feel it's really important for a number of reasons. The first is that the more competent people, and this isn't the case for everybody, there's always anomalies, but the more competent you get in combat sports and the more confident you are with your ability to protect yourself and to protect others, the less you need it and the less you use it. A lot of fights in town are by, these...
Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah, exactly right. These Muppet arms that have no idea. So I feel it's important in that regard. But also just for your mental health, like I've trained twice today. I trained once with Bretto this morning and we trained again in one of Bretto's classes as Savo.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm loving training at the moment. I was with Jules, and so I think it's important to be able to learn how to defend yourself because it's really good for your confidence, your self-esteem. There's just so many positive effects, and it's also a release for this negative energy that's within us. Like when you're having a bad day, hitting pads is such a positive way to be able to release those, release that promotion you didn't get, to release that breakup, to release different things like that, or, not even to that level. But if you've had a shit day, anybody that's hit pads before will be able to attest to that. Yeah,
for me, as a man, it gives me the best form of like moving meditation. It's moving meditation, that repetitive nature of it, the thinking about the way you're moving your body, but also just bonding with other people in those gyms because the workouts are so hard, and there's just so much admiration and respect for other people who are going through the same pain. So you bond on this different level. And the other thing is like when you spar, and I think everyone needs to spar at least once in their life.
Yeah.
Like I realised, I thought about it, like I don't think I've ever been angry at the person that I'm sparring. Have you?
No, never. I feel...
Not even once. If anything, I just want to hug them.
It's important, because there's that mutual respect for the most part. Again, anything can happen, but there's mutual respect between the both parties, and you're both working together for the same. You're trying to get better and improve, and you're not trying to. That's what's cool about if you do get a good sparring partner, is that you're able to move around, better yourselves, hit at 50-60%, know that you're both safe because it's a safe learning environment. Well, there's nothing worse than getting a fucking flog come in and trying to kill you, because then that's when you kind of do I have to sit back and think, what are you doing, Jags?
Nothing worse than getting kicked in the head by Leon Edwards.
Yeah, yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Can we talk about that quickly?
Hit me,
Because I
man.
know you're into the UFC.
Yeah.
I've only really got into the UFC the last couple of years, but I've just become really obsessed with it.
It's been like a lot of people see it as like a thug sport and things like that. But yeah, I really feel that it's like there's just so many dynamics behind it. Like you need to be good at this, you need to be good at that. Like boxing, not to take anything away, is incredible, but to be and again, they're on their own level with their hands, so I won't get into that. But just the different levels of, and what I admire the most is the discipline, because as I've been doing these things and making these shifts in my life, one of the hardest parts for me is keeping that discipline. It's easy to be disciplined when people are looking, but it's what it's the cookies that you're eating at fucking midnight, and we laugh about that, but I'm like, man, there's heaps of times where I've been running courses recently. I've been running heaps of courses, like for assist, which is applied suicide intervention skills training with work, as well as going away with Talk to Me Bro and stuff. And during that, there's a lot of bakeries and a lot of donut shops on the road, brother. Yeah. And, it's easy because not many people are around. It's easy for me to have that little Krispy Kreme. But, I'm the one that's going to know about it. I'm going to have to deal with it. And that's been tricky because, I'm a human. I fuck up heaps where I'll have a couple Krispy Kremes. And just that, the reason I can say that is just because the discipline it requires to be an MMA star is just incredible, and I have so much respect for that. Because I've trained at a pretty good level. Like I've been over in Thailand and trained at some cool gyms, and I just know, especially with fight camps and stuff, that it's not easy. You need to be disciplined, and it's just on another level. And the other thing is that you're walking into an arena where there's not guaranteed you're going to come out okay. True.
I just going back to the UFC specifically, the more I watch it. And yeah, it's brutal. The more I understand that how well trained and refined those guys are, but I'm also learning that the referees are so good in those sports. They really know how to protect the fighters. And compared to boxing, you can really notice, like I know they get a lot of big head hits when they happen, but they're getting definitely less turnover of head hits compared to boxing, so they're not getting as tapped in the head as much.
Yeah. Well, that's because there's just so
and when
many.
they do, it's a big one, but there seems to be less head hits. There's a little, there's leg kicks, there's body kicks, and then there's the grappling and the wrestling. So I don't know. I'm just starting to see the actual complete elite level of these guys. It's so inspiring. In my opinion.
No, I completely agree. And I think
they're tough as...
Oh, yeah, they're tough as woodpecker lips. Like, you got to be, don't you? Like, you really have to. You like that? What? Tough as woodpecker lips. Think about how tough they have to be. That's tough.
They got to get through wood, don't they?
Yeah, so my takeaway from that is just the discipline is something I admire massively. So, like, some of the egos there fucking can go in the bin. But, like... Definitely, though, that discipline is incredible, because I know that just even like the basics of life, after you've had dinner and you don't eat any more carbs and you don't eat anything, but then, Uber Eats give you that little message, you go $5 off Macca's, and you're like, fucking, you know what, instead of 40, it's 35. So really, I'm pretty much making money to eat this McFlurry. We all do it. So, and that's where discipline is really that makes a difference.
But that's the thing, again, like, there's these quick fixes, these numbing behaviours, instant gratification. It just epitomises our society. We want instant and we can get instant gratification for everything.
Social media.
What do you mean?
Social media is instant gratification.
True.
You put up a picture of yourself in your jocks, and I mean, me personally, that'd be like 3 likes, so it wouldn't be that much gratification.
That many.
Yeah, and it'd be, me missus. And
what if no one likes it? Then it's the opposite.
Exactly right. But like that's what I mean. My point is that like instant gratification, it's easy to get. It was a lot harder years ago to get that gratification, whereas nowadays.
And you can buy things on credit so easy.
Oh man, Afterpay, before pay, this, that.
Yeah,
man,
ridiculous.
For when I had issues with gambling, I felt it was unbelievably easy with someone who shouldn't been able to get a loan. And I'm just lucky that I didn't do myself in terms of like, go above and beyond my means. I did in terms of the gambling, but I was very fortunate that I was able to get everything back, and be able to work my butt off to get back to the point where I'm at currently, which is the best place I've ever been, but lenders just give out money hand over fist, man. And if you're a gambler specifically, or even if you're a shopper, or even if you're just bad with fucking money, it's so easy to get $500 now. Like,
is it?
Yeah, man. Like,
How?
if
Tell
you
me
hop
how
on,
to do it all.
yeah, 100%. Yeah, you just got to take this bag over to this bus stop for me in 20 minutes, Shan. No, like,
what do
it's
you mean,
like for example, like you can download. So you can
there's like quick like loan apps and stuff.
Before Pay, for example, is an
never heard
app.
of Before Pay.
So Before Pay, you can get loans up to $2,000, but it's like, and it just comes out of your next pay, for example. So if you don't get paid for 2 weeks, you can go on Before Pay and see. I don't want to advertise that and make it be known that I'm certainly not condoning it, because I think it's terrible. And when I was struggling with gambling, those kind of quick fixes, credit, were one of my biggest demise and one of the biggest enablers of my problem. One of the best things I've done is like close all credit cards and all that, so that way I had to live in the present, and it forced me to make those changes, not enable me.
Yeah. I mean, we're very controlled by money. We all are. There's no doubt about it. There's a lot of emotion attached to money.
I think just because we've, as a society, evolved so much that we've placed money at the hierarchy.
We have. Well, it's not so much the money; it's the things.
The things that can get, of course.
Accumulation of stuff.
Yeah.
I actually don't see it as a status symbol anymore, really.
In what regard, Shan?
I don't know. In terms of like, the more money you have, does it really put you into a different echelon of society?
No, not at all. I mean, you can be a piece of shit with $500 million. It
That's true.
Doesn't mean anything, but you just can afford more things than we can, I suppose. You're a piece of shit that can afford, getting Uber Eats each night.
That's true. With Talk to Me, bro. So like, how's it tracking in terms of its I guess its continued development? So where are you up to now? I know you've got like a base in Wollongong. You've got one in Newcastle as well.
So what's fantastic
what
work
else
up
is
there.
going on?
Yeah, so like we've just not too long ago brought out like we've been running joint sessions for guys and girls. We've been doing like the meditation, or not necessarily meditation, but like a bit of breath work and just a joint catch up, which has been fantastic. But in terms of what we've done since last time we've on and like where we're going, we're in every state now, which is super, super cool. I'm super humbled to be in. We're going up to, Luke and myself will be going up to Darwin in a couple of weeks and presenting up there and facilitating a few seminars, and then we'll be at Perth a few months later, and then we're going to so we're in every state. We'll be nearly every state within the next 6 months in terms of, and that's not just like we already are in terms of we've got following in each state, but that'll be where we'll have facilitated sessions. I've got a number of them in each state, and we crunched the numbers about 3 weeks ago, and we've presented and facilitated these seminars to over 25,000 Australians since we began in 2018.
So you're passing on, like, you have a formula that you work with and like a program that you're passing on to these different
Correct.
people.
So we go to organisations, different workplaces, gyms, you name it. What's cool, Shan, I talked to you about this earlier, is we went out to an Indigenous community out in Brewarrina where there's a number of suicides out there, and a real good bloke named Eddie reached out to us and said, we've got a few problems here. I want you to come out. It's a 10-hour drive. For anybody that doesn't know, go Google Maps and type in Brewarrina and New South Wales, and you'll be able to see where we went to. And it was a 10-hour drive. And, it's a community that, like a number of other Indigenous communities, that need our help being able to chat about suicide and be able to normalise that. And we went up there, which was super, super cool. We went to a yarn circle up there. They put on like this massive feed for us. And I actually facilitated one of our seminars with one of our Indigenous correspondents, I suppose, and one of our Indigenous members in like one of those yarn circles. And we had an absolute ball, and it was really well received. There would have been, I reckon, we would have talked to at least 70, 80 Indigenous elders up there, as well as like emerging and things like that. And we gave out like 60 shirts, and they're all loving it. We did ice bars and stuff like that. So we're going out to a number. We're not just one dimensional, like, well, this is how we're going to do it. We got, Eddie reached out to us and said, I want you to come up to our community. We need it. And we did it.
Man, that's amazing.
10 hours, man. I left it, and you know what?
See, I've never been to that part of our country.
Oh, it's, it's so beautiful, man. I'll show you pictures after this. Yeah, it's like, but it's just, there are really like a bunch of town that's a really incredible people that just need our support. And for any Indigenous, members that are listening to this podcast, you might not have heard of, but I think it's worth mentioning. There's a number that's 1-3-YARN, and what that is, it's a helpline for, like, it's similar to Lifeline, but it's where you'll speak to an elder, or you'll speak to an Indigenous support worker that'll be able to help you. Yep.
Amazing.
1-3-YARN, yeah. So we've added that to all our cards we give out to all communities now, or not just to Indigenous communities, but to hand out everywhere is part of our I Need Help cards. Is you got Lifeline, Beyond Blue and all that, but we've added 1-3-YARN now, and it's all reviews and everything are fantastic.
Yeah, so just quickly run us through the emergency the list of emergency services and hotlines that you recommend. So you said Lifeline.
Lifeline are fantastic. Beyond Blue, suicide callback service.
Suicide callback service.
Yeah, suicide callback service is fantastic.
What you call, leave a message and they call you back.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. So they're really good. And then the 1-3 yarn. Luke and myself were actually up at, since last time you'll meet, chatted, Shan. We went up to the International Suicide Prevention Conference in Gold Coast and we were lucky enough to listen to like all the top research, what's happened recently in the field of suicide, and listen to the top psychs and doctors in the world chat. And that's one thing that we taken away from it, was we listened to a lady who actually founded 1-3 Yarn and were completely inspired by her story and how this has came about. And it's exactly what's needed to be able to have, support for Indigenous people in the community, because they're incredible people that need our support.
Yeah. And they're overrepresented in the data in regards to suicide.
Do you know what the number is, Shan?
I don't know off the top of my head, but I have, when I was researching the numbers, that it is said that they're overrepresented.
Yeah, suicide's 4 times more likely. Yeah, 4 times more likely in Indigenous males.
Yeah. It's heartbreaking.
So yeah, we've been out to went out there, been to Darwin, been around heaps. Like we've run our black tie recently, so we've had an absolute ton on, and we're keeping super busy at Talk to Me Bro, and we're expanding. Like we've got a leadership retreat coming up soon for like the leadership group within Talk to Me Bro to start planning and doing some more.
So what, training facilitators?
Yeah, training facilitators through running them through our programs and like how we want them run and things, because that's the thing, Shan, that's unique, is working in suicide isn't, not the, I don't even know how you'd put it, but it's not an easy task to work in suicide. It can be dark, it can be very draining, and unless you have the right tools, I don't necessarily, not just me, but you shouldn't be working within, even if you've got a heart to serve, it's really important that you've worked on yourself and you've got the right tools around you, because the last thing that we want to do is put you in a position where you're like, you fall into that headspace of the person you're trying to help, because it can be quite dark, and unless you're unless your force field's up and you've kind of got your boundaries, unless you've got your boundaries in place, and that's something I struggled with when I first, was doing all the Talk to Me Bro stuff, is that the boundaries, it's really important. That's why we're pretty, I wouldn't say picky, but we're definitely, because we just want to help the people that are helping us, you know what I mean, and not just chuck you in the lurch. So yeah, that's important. We're going to do some work on that, some facilitator training, and yeah, we've got some incredible stuff lined up. We've got a massive goal for how many people we want to facilitate to in the next 12 months. So
wow, man, it's beautiful. I love what you do. That's why, I wanted you on the show again, and I just think, let's keep the discussion going and spreading these messages, and also it's just spreading the strategies for support and where people can reach out. I just think people need constant reminders, And I was talking to my friend the other day, my friend Mikey, if you're out there, he's one of those mates who you can call any time of day, always will listen. He'll listen to your broken record, one of those friends. We're just talking about how, we all fall into these dark spaces. We really do. I think if anyone says that they don't, they're full of shit, in my opinion. But also, just he sort of reminded me, and I reminded him too, that there's so many beautiful moments as well in our life, and those beautiful moments, those magic moments that life dishes out, are worth living for.
And no matter where you feel that you're at, if you feel like you've got you're absolutely helpless and there's no way back, like from someone that's been suicidal before, struggled with addiction and has been in that dark hole, and I know you and me have chatted about this, Shan, but that's why we preach it's a rough patch, not a rough life. And I know it can sound a bit cheesy, but it's true, is because I thought there was no coming back and that the world would be better off without me. But fast forward 3 years, and look at where we're at now as an organisation. And just me personally, is I've never been this happy in my life. Yeah. And the moments, just walking around the harbour yesterday, I was kind of euphoric because I just had my headphones in. I was listening to really chill beats, and it was just one of those moments where I was like, man, I'm so lucky to live here, and I'm like, just be alive.
For sure.
But I wouldn't have thought that 3 years ago. So I hopefully, to anybody listening, that if you are going through a tough time, you understand that tough times, don't last, and that will be over. You just need to keep going through, keep reaching out, keep finding support, if you can't handle a day at a time, go an hour.
Dude, I love that. A day at a time is one of my mantras for life. Yeah, and then when it's intense, sometimes it is an hour at a time. But even in those really intense times, you can find magic. You can find beauty. It could be something as simple as an epic sunset or an epic sunrise, or just a friendly face in the supermarket. Like, it's there, you know.
And I think I feel like the reason that I've become so grateful for a lot of different things in life is because of those hardships. Without those hardships in my life, I feel like I wouldn't be that grateful. And now, without those things, what probably wouldn't have been, you know, what would have just been an average walk because of those fuck times where I didn't want to be here and I wanted to kill myself, that made me, you know, that makes those walks special, where I kind of sit back and I think, look at where, you know, it's that old meme, you know, that one of, I can't remember the actor's name, where he's like, look at us, who would have thought? Not me. People will get that. But yeah, it's a really funny quote. I'll show you the video clip afterwards, but you just kind of sit there, and there's a lot of times nowadays especially where I look in the mirror and I'm so proud of who I've become. And I know that might sound arrogant or wankish, but it's just because I know how low I was with so many different things in my life, and I'm so proud of staying in the fight and becoming who I am.
It's funny how you had to add to that, it might sound arrogant or wankish. Like, that's such an Australian cultural thing. I think we have that tall poppy syndrome is so ingrained. If you dare say something positive about yourself, you better back it up with, I know I probably sound like a wanker. No. It's okay to talk yourself up.
Yeah. I just want to be cognizant of the fact that it's because I very much value. You're right. You know, and I was just about to go on to valuing humility.
It's good to be humble, but what is wrong with saying, hey, I like myself. Yeah, I'm proud of myself. Yes. What's wrong with that?
No, there's not at all. And you know what, Shan? Maybe I can take that home.
Dude, take it home. Have a good look in your mirror and go, I'm not a wanker. I just sometimes wank.
Yeah, 100%. And then my misso in the background and be like, yeah, fuck it.
Well, listen, bro, like, it's been epic and it's been an interesting podcast. You know, like I said, I've had hay fever, which is never good for recording. And, you know, we had the toilet break issue. Sorry about that.
Yeah, that was no good for business.
It's good for business. But I do ask all guests to come with a cause they want to support or advocate for. But in your instance, I think you are the cause. You are the charity.
Going to go with Talk to Me, Bro, here, my man.
So tell people how they can be involved, or at the very least donate. But I always think participation
we can do more than that.
The best.
Yeah, for sure. So if you're sitting there and feel like Talk to Me, Bro is something you want to be a part of, then please reach out to us on socials, because let's chat. Because even though you might be like, I don't really have money or I don't really have X, we can still definitely work out how you can work in. You might be an accountant, you might be someone that can help in other ways by, you know, a service that you offer. Like, you know, we get people that help us out in a number of different ways. So it doesn't have to be money. If you like our merch, you know, donations, all proceeds, we're not-for-profit organisations. Any money we make off merch goes straight back into suicide prevention in Australia. We've got some awesome new lines coming out. We've got a new label coming out that's Talk to Me on the front, but it's got that, I really like that expression that we've I don't think we've coined it, but we're very much believing is it's a rough patch, not a rough life. Okay. So we've got that coming out on shirts and jumpers. So we've got a couple of different slogans. So if you're into Talk to Me, Bro, you know, get our merch, reach out to us, see if we can come out to your school, workplace, gym, whatever it is, we'll come out and chat. If you're in an Indigenous community or anything like that, there's nobody that we, you know, won't present to, because presenting to everybody, facilitating to everybody is a massive ripple effect.
Yeah, for sure. I also just want to add one thing. I think there's so much to be said about being a good listener. So you can say to people, talk to me, bro, but are you really listening, or are you waiting for your turn to speak? And that's something I work on all the time. It's like, am I doing that? But I'm really working on just listening. Listen, deeply listen.
Well, to sign off with, that's actually, we could talk about hours on this, but we won't. But what's interesting, Shan, is during helping a friend out who could be struggling, I think that's so important, because a lot of the times we might be overwhelmed with anxiety or different things if, you know, your mate is struggling. Or even not if they're struggling. Sometimes with listening, we are thinking of what to say next. And sometimes our ego's in there being like, we need to say something smart, or we need to know what's going on here.
Yeah.
And you can very much tell the difference between that and being genuine in a conversation. So I think that's a great point, Shan, is to be I'd much rather a person sit there, have no idea what to say, but be fully listening, than to be in their own head just trying to conjure up something to say.
Pretty much sums up being a podcaster.
Thank you so much for having me, brother.
Sitting here with no idea in my head.
Just fucking sneezing every time I'm trying to say something.
Dude, I'm allergic to you.
Yeah.
I'll start up, dude. So talk to my allergies, bro. Oh, man. if you scroll down in this episode, there's a link to the Talk to Me Bro website for more information. I'll also put links to the various emergency services that can be accessed that Jack mentioned. And this episode is on all the major podcast platforms, and whatever platform that you listen to this podcast on, please follow, subscribe. We also have the THT YouTube channel. Now, listen, man, YouTube is it's so hard. Like, no one watches these videos.
Thank God. What do I have to watch me go shit?
And I'm wondering why I go to all the production effort. But it's because I believe in it, in documenting some of these amazing humans we have on here. So, yeah, help us out. Get on the YouTube channel. Maybe subscribe to that as well, and just get involved, communicate, interact and all that stuff. I don't know. But you do you. But I'm just stoked that you listen. And, that's about it. Thanks, brother.
And check in on a friend, even the smiley ones, because they could be struggling too, baby.
Dude, is everyone struggling?
Everyone's struggling. We've got to look out for each other.
I don't feel like I'm struggling as much as I used to.
You look good.
Thanks, man. Thanks. See how I took that compliment? Like, real quick. You said, you look good. I went, thanks, man.
Look like a young Denzel in this light.
Do I? Got a bit of sun. The sun came out on Sunday.
Yes, sir.
I was just like shirt off. I didn't care if it was 50 degrees, but the sun was out. I was like, I'm getting tanned. But the thing I've been thinking about a lot lately is, for me personally, I'm in a real bit of a peaceful state in my life. Like, I have these moments of sadness for various reasons, but overall, I feel like I've just been on this searching journey for so long. I'm actually just sitting back and just enjoying life a bit more and not taking it so fucking serious. Sorry to swear, but when you swear, it just makes you feel like you're really saying it.
It can be powerful. I need to be better at picking that. But
I've just been really personally just enjoying the things in life. Like,
presence is present.
Yeah, I don't know what's happened, and I'm just going to enjoy it while I can, because I'm sure there's more anguish and despair and searching and seeking to happen.
And all that's going to make those little happy moments even better, man.
But it's not good for the podcast. Like, I need to be in a state of despair for it to be interesting.
Just make sure all your podcasters run off to shit halfway through next time.
It's not emotional enough. It's got to be honest. I just want to talk about I want to talk about UFC. I want to talk about surfing and skateboarding. But I do really, I don't want to discredit what we're talking about. I love this as well. But I'm talking to MMA fighter Colby Thickeness, who's an ambassador.
Big boy.
He's
a weapon, man.
Talking to him on the weekend, and I just can't wait just to really get into the nitty-gritty of his training regimes and what's it like to really be in the octagon and shit like that.
He's going to be fantastic. He's a good speaker too, man. We're very lucky to have him on board of what we're doing and see him repping our stuff. And you'll see him on the big stage in the years to come, no doubt.
Golden boy.
Yes, sir.
All right, brother. You're a legend. Let's go. You.